Hi, my name is Aishwarya Raj Singh, and today I'll be presenting my project on OSSIM, which is implemented as a SIEM, Security Incident and Event Management Tool. So, what is OSSIM? OSSIM is basically, as I told, Security Information and Event Management System. The project was started first in 2003 and it came into the market in the year 2008. That is the year when Alien Vault accepted it. The third thing is it it completely gives us information about all the security related incidents if it is configured properly. It monitors all the network data, network logs, and it also collects the logs from the systems that are being monitored. It it automatically discovers all the systems if a particular gateway is added into the OSSIM system. So whatever devices are connected to that particular gateway, all the systems will be listed out automatically in the OSSIM web interface. So this is my project architecture where OSSIM machine is configured with three interfaces. First interface is having an IP assigned 1.10. Second interface is having an IP assigned to 2.8 and third interface is assigned an IP of 2.9. The first interface is connected as a bridge interface so that the web interface of OSM machine can be opened from the base machine, which is connected to a gateway 1.1, and the OSM first interface is also connected to a gateway 1.1. The other two interfaces of OSM machine ETH1 and ETH2 are connected to a gateway 2.1 so that they can monitor the traffic of all the assets which are on the network 2.x series. Like in this setup, I have taken two machines, Kali and Metasploit. Kali, which is a attacker's machine, Metasploit, which is a victim's machine and which is vulnerable. So OSM will be monitoring all the networks and all the logs which are happening on the 2.x series. So Kali is assigned an IP of 2.4 and Metasploit is assigned an IP of 2.7. These are the 5 attacks which I have performed from Kali on Metasploit machine. The first attack shows the weak password vulnerability which is set on PostGRE SQL. So it discovers that password and we can use that username and password to log in into the database. After that we can try to copy the files or the payloads into the vulnerable system, or we can take out the files from the system to the attacker's machine. The second vulnerability exploits the Samba thing where uh, we can log in into the server with any username. The only condition is the username should contain the shell meta characters. The third attack is the cross-site scripting attack, which dumps the MySQL username and password, which can be used to log in into the system. The fourth attack is the dist.cc service vulnerability, where if the dist.cc vulnerability is not configured properly, it will leave the port open on which it is running and using which the attacker can log in and deploy some other payloads on the machine. The fifth vulnerability shows the UDEF version. If it is below 1.4.1 uh, 1.4.1 version, then we can log in into the system using a dist.cc or any other thing, deploy the payload and escalate our privileges to the root. We will see all these attacks. So this is the first attack. This is the PostGRE SQL where I have used a auxiliary auxiliary scanner PostGRE underscore login, which is provided by the Metasploit, and it discovers the username and password. As you can see here are the highlighted versions. The highlighted one are the username and password. Using the same username and password, I have used the exploit which is a postgre underscore payload exploit, where I have set the password to postgre and username as postgre and the rhost value to the Metasploit machine. And later I have exploited that machine. Here you can see I have set the rhost value to 2.7 and exploited it. And later I have got the shell. So this is the postgre SQL attack. This is a Samba service attack where as I said, any username, just it should contain the shell meta characters and we will get the shell. So here I have used the exploit, which is a user map underscore script exploit. So it is also provided by the Metasploit tool. I have set the rhost value to 2.7 and then exploited it. And here you can see I've got the shell that says when I did a who am I, it says a root. So that means I have logged in as a super user. This this another attack is a dist cc execution attack. As I told, when this service is not configured properly, it will leave the port open and and the port will be vulnerable to outside attacks. So as you can see, Metasploit provides an exploit Unix under the Unix MISC folder dist cc underscore execution, where it just asks for the rhost value and the r port value, which is 3632. So if you run a normal nmap scan, this port will not be discovered. To discover this port, you have to run an aggressive nmap scan, and that is what I did, and I got this port in that result. And once I set the rhost value and I exploited it, I got the shell. Here the shell which I have got is a daemon user, which is not a super user. So after this I will have to exploit my vulnerability to a super user. To do that, what I have done is I have seen that the kernel version is 2.6.24. In this kernel version there is an vulnerability where the netlink process does not verify if anything is coming from user space to a kernel space. So we use that exploit to get the root shell, and we can do anything after getting the root shell. This is a SQL injection attack which I have performed, where I use dir buster tool to find out what all directories are present in the on the Apache service which is running on the Metasploit machine. So here I can see a TikiWiki database is running. So when I ran the TikiWiki, when I opened that page on TikiWiki, I found out that the TikiWiki 1.9.5 version is running. So when I searched about this 1.9.5 version, it says there is a vulnerability where if we use a uh, sort underscore mode variable, and that will display all the database name with the username and password for the MySQL database as well. So here you can see in the URL page I have used offset equal to 0 and sort mode equal to nothing. Then it has dumped the username and password, as you can see here. As you can see, the database name is TikiWiki195 and the host name is localhost, and the username and password for the database MySQL database is root. So we can use this to exploit the DB. So these are about the attacks which I have performed. Then about the events that are being discovered. So this is my OSSIM machine where I have configured, as I told, three interfaces: ETH0, which is a management interface, and the ETH1, which is used for network monitoring on the 2.x series, and the ETH2 interface, which is used for log collection and scaling on the 2.x series as well. After that, I have configured a Metasploit machine. On that Metasploit, I have even deployed a HIDS, which is a OSSEC, and I have ran a vulnerability scan from OSSIM machine on Metasploit machine, which has discovered that this machine has around 75 vulnerabilities. And as of now, till it has discovered, there are total 76K events. We will see what are all those events, and one alarm has been generated. So we'll see that alarm as well. So these are all the events which are generated from, as you can see, the source is Kali and the Metasploit and the destination is Metasploit machine. So if we see the alien world, HIDS has just detected something. So if we do a search, here it says OWAP's DIR Buster project. So that means this event was detected when an attacker was running DIR Buster tool on from its machine onto the Metasploit machine. So this was the attack which this was the event which was discovered by him, by OSSIM. This is a SQL injection attack which was discovered by OSSIM when an SQL injection was performed. Once we see that event, here it says a TikiWiki CMS group vulnerability was exploited and this event was discovered. So this is how it says, like on the TikiWiki one on the TikiWiki database there is a vulnerability for SQL injection, because of which this event was generated. So yeah, and these are more other events which are being generated from Kali to Metasploit. Let's move on to the mitigation part. So attack 1, where we have exploited the Samba service. So I just wanted to say Samba service should be kept inactive if it is not in use, and if the Samba service is really required, we should open the port between those machines, like from Windows to Linux, where the share has to be mounted from Windows part to the Linux part. And for mounting purpose, we have to use a username and a different username and password which is not being used to log in into the machines. And if client wants to upgrade, was happy to upgrade the Samba service, then we have to upgrade it to the stable version, which is 3.x series. The attack 2, which tells us about the TikiWiki version and or the SQL MySQL SQL injection attack. So we have to make sure that all the system IDs which are present on the system, we have to keep it as slash bin slash false in the slash etc passwd file, so that no one can log in into the system using those system IDs. Those system IDs are used only for the internal purpose, meaning inside the server only. Those system IDs should not be used to log in. If anyone requires anyone to log in into the server, they should have their own individual IDs created, and later they can switch to that system ID for the work. And later we can also upgrade the TikiWiki version to the stable version, which is 21.x series. The third attack, where we use the SSH vulnerability. So the root user should be made as should be disabled in SSH SSHD config file, and the OpenSSH version should be upgraded to a stable version. The fourth attack, where we saw about the PostGRE SQL, uh, was set to weak password, so we should have set it to strong password, or we can also make it as slash bin slash false, so that no one can log in using that ID. Only the system can use that ID for working purpose. And later we can also upgrade the PostGRE SQL database as well, or the strong password should be kept. The last attack, where we saw about the kernel exploit. So kernel has to be upgraded every 90 days as per the compliance part, and all the ports which are not being used have to be blocked by the firewall. Only the ports which are in use have to be opened, and a permanent network monitoring should be kept on those ports, so that we can assess the data or the logs which are being coming in and out. So that was my presentation on OSSIM. Thank you.